For those people who don't know me, Devin the Dream Haney. After a hard workout, I always make sure I take my proglycosin. Great for recovery. Recovery is a big part of training, and take your proglycosin, you'll feel much better.
Back in New York for, you know what, someone called you the other day on Twitter. I don't know the account, but they said you're a certified American living legend. Not just within boxing, but within sports all told. I mean, it's like, this guy's your biggest fan. Certified living legend, how does that make you feel?
Well, I like the word living.
That's right. We're in Manhattan today, Brooklyn boy, coming back to this borough. What's the feeling looking towards another big fight coming up, Madison Square Garden?
Well, you know, for somebody who grew up here in New York, somebody who first started promoting boxing in New York, for me, you know, it's a dream coming back to Madison Square Garden. You know, people ask me, you know, have you ever tried the place in Brooklyn, Barclay?
Right.
And I tell them, I hear it's a lovely place, but I can't see myself coming to New York and doing a fight and not doing it in Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Because it's part of my DNA, it really is.
Do you think do the youngsters who haven't been there over the decades and haven't seen what you've seen there, does it resonate the same way?
Well, you got to understand, these young men are not only fighters, not only involved in their profession, but they're also historians. They read about fighters of yesteryear, and they realize about the great fights that took place in Madison Square Garden. And whether it's whether it's Oscar De La Hoya or others, they always were asking me to make them a fight in Madison Square Garden. And that's particularly true with a fighter like Terence Crawford or with Loma. Lomachenko, when I told him he was fighting at the Garden, and I think the first fight was in the theater, he was absolutely thrilled, really thrilled. There's a special feeling. Not that we didn't have a great crowd and tremendous excitement when we did Loma in Staples Center, but honestly, it wasn't the same.
You expecting maybe a little bit of a step up and something extra special? I feel like, no BS, I feel like as I'm talking to you, that's a strong possibility for Saturday night, maybe like the best Crawford that we've seen. Partially because of that.
Not partially, I think because of that. Everybody who loves boxing, every fighter that loves boxing knows what happened in Madison Square Garden and wants, when he has the opportunity to fight in the Garden, to be at his absolute best.
You've seen a lot of favored people and then underdogs coming in. What's your assessment of Khan, how he is dealing with being the underdog and his chances here, man?
I'm very proud of the way Khan has been and how he's comported himself. He's a real professional, tremendous in shape, and you will see the best of Amir Khan, and the best of Amir Khan is truly competitive with Terence Crawford.
Lomachenko. As I was watching it in the lead up, I was saying, man, these guys are talking about his shoulders so much. And then I realized, I think maybe I understood why. I think in his last fight, the shoulder was still affecting him, and I feel like maybe he is all the way back now. And so there was a reason for it, yes?
Yeah, definitely a reason for it, because Loma explained to me that he felt in the fight with Pedraza that the shoulder was healed, but Elatrosh told him not to throw that right hook. Because Elatrosh told me that what he was afraid of was memory, muscle memory.
Right.
That if he threw that left hook, because that's what hurt him so bad, that he would feel it again, even though it wasn't there. And so he said
That affected him, really.
yeah, that. And so he didn't. And this time, Elatraj told him, okay, 100%, good to go, throw the hook, and he knocked the guy out.
Right. So if I was thinking he's had 400 amateur fights, he's 31, maybe he's on the downside, I'm thinking now, no, maybe it really actually was coming off the shoulder surgery and needing rehab.
Yeah,
I believe that.
First thing when I got in the ring, he says, Bob, you saw, I wasn't the same my last 2 fights because of the shoulder.
When is he fighting next, do we think?
We immediately had him in to Elatraj's orthopedic Job curling. Job is the guy that developed the Tommy John surgery. Yeah, he's dead now. And
Frank Job, right?
Yeah,
I remember from baseball, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boston area, I think. Yeah,
So
that's right.
Elatraj had him in on Saturday with Steve Shin, who's the leading hand doctor in the country. What happened was the ligament was misplaced. I don't know what they said, out of place.
Right.
So they had to numb it, put the ligament back, and so forth. And they detected a little fracture, and so they put him in a cast, which he wears for 6 months. Then his cast comes off, and in 6 weeks.
Cast for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
All right.
And the cast comes off, and he can use the hand for 2 weeks, and then at the end of 8 weeks, goes.
So what are we looking at? August?
September. But that was when we was going to
All right,
fight
so it's no
anyway.
switch.
Yeah.
And you have a couple people that you have in mind. Maybe
Yeah.
Comey, yeah?
Well, we have 3 people.
Yeah.
We have Comey possibility.
Right.
Mikey Garcia possibility if he comes down to
Yeah.
135. Or if Garcia goes up in weight. Then we have talking to Suleiman about WBC title fight, making Luke Campbell
Right.
against Lomachenko.
Who's a good athlete and who's on the come up, and he's been looking good. Have you had a conversation, a phone call yet from Mikey, or no?
No, as a matter of fact, this weekend, Mikey is talking with Suleiman. And if Mikey, 2 things can happen. Mikey can say, I want to stay at 135,
Right.
but he doesn't want to fight Lomachenko,
Right.
okay? In which case, Comey steps up to the picture.
I think there's a good deal of appetite for Comey. Comey looked very good. He's got a nice backstory. I think people wouldn't mind seeing that fight at all.
Right, but obviously Garcia is a bigger fight, and if we did the fight with Campbell, we would do it over in England.
Right. Another A side on this, or perhaps future A side. I feel like one of the big backstories here, or subplots, or whatever you want to say it, is Teofimo.
Right.
Are you feeling the same thing? And have you changed your view on him in, say, the last 6 months, and how he could stack up against Loma?
Again, as somebody who's been around this often, this long, I don't want to get carried away in the rhetoric.
Right.
He's still wet behind the ears. He still hasn't gone anything like 10 rounds.
Right.
This fight, Saturday, is a real test for him. The guy is extremely good lightweight. He's the European champion. I'm not saying he's Lomachenko, but he is capable of giving Teofimo a big fight, particularly if it goes into rounds. So we'll see.
All right. Business has changed a little bit. HBO's no longer here. When you used to come into New York City, you and Todd and Carl would go in there and there'd be more plotting out stuff. Has that changed, or do you still come to New York and, we're plotting out some things for the next few months because we're in New York?
The difference is we plotted out internally with ourselves. There, you were quite correct. We'd meet with HBO and they'd tell us this and that. ESPN has complete confidence in our programming, and we don't consult them about fights and so forth. It's all internal.
Sometimes we care about numbers, other times we don't. It's not maybe as important as it was, but for a pay-per-view fight, you know there's no shortage of people say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Do you have a number that you need to get to that you're going to make you happy or not with this one?
Well, we had the number when we started, and now with the ride that we're getting from ESPN and with the cable companies and satellite providers going crazy, the number that we had in mind is going to be far exceeded, maybe multiples of it.
Do you look at Spence and Garcia and say, yeah, I want to do better than 3 or whatever it is they do? Does that matter to you or no?
Because it's not comparing apples with apples.
Yeah.
Because we have so many more advantages with ESPN. Remember, Fox did a good job promoting, but Fox is not a sports network.
Right.
ESPN, you can't put on ESPN without seeing something on this fight. Also, the cable companies and satellite providers have gotten a tremendous blow, and that is UFC taking its pay-per-view off and giving it to ESPN Plus. They know that if they don't produce for us, the same thing is going to happen to them with our shows. So they are devoting tremendous resources. So this fight can do numbers that if I said what they were at the time we signed the fight, I would be certifiably insane, and it would have no relation to reality. Now, what I'm really hoping for, I won't even say, because it's a number that is completely different from what we would have said if we were talking about doing a fight in the usual way.
You're very optimistic.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to Fight Up. Thanks, Bob.